What if the reason you feel stuck isn't because you are unmotivated, undisciplined, or bad at follow through? What if you're just dragging around things you don't even realize are attached to you anymore? And before you start thinking that this is just another productivity video, stay with me because this isn't about getting more done. Lord knows there are plenty of people on YouTube who are willing to tell you that you need to get up at 4 a.m. and drink some green powder and hustle and grind and just focus all of your energy on whatever. That is not what this is. I have been thinking about something lately, and the more I think about it, the more I see it everywhere. It started as one of those random thoughts that pops into your head and then just refuses to leave. You know the kind, the loop-de-loop question that plays in your head over and over and over again when you're doing the dishes or doing the laundry or pretending to pay attention in a meeting. The question is so simple, but man, it just felt so profound the more I started to think about it. Is this an anchor or is it an oar? And the reason that it hit me so hard is because the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I can apply this question to like everything in my life. Habits, goals, spending, relationships, work, hobbies, the stories that I tell myself about who I am. And once I started looking through that lens, I couldn't stop. Because here's what I realized. Not everything heavy is important, and not everything important feels light. Let me say that again for the kids in the back. Not everything that feels heavy is important, and not everything that's important feels light. I think that so many of us have gotten used to the weight of things that we stop asking, is this even something I should be carrying anymore? Sometimes we mistake familiarity for necessity, and that's what an anchor is. An anchor creates drag. It consumes energy. It keeps you in place. And what sucks is that anchors don't really show up wearing a name tag, you know? It's not like they burst through the door like the Kool-Aid Man and announce themselves. Anchors are very rarely obvious. Sometimes they're habits. Sometimes they're obligations. Sometimes they're beliefs that we have carried around for so long that they've started to become like just a piece of furniture in our periphery. And that's what makes them dangerous. Because an anchor does not have to destroy your life to slow your progress. In fact, most anchors aren't dramatic. They're just expensive in small ways every single day. They cost energy, they cost attention, they cost time, and God knows they cost money. They're not necessarily catastrophic, but they are heavy. But because they're familiar, we stop noticing the weight. We assume that being weighed down is normal. But then there are oars. And I think this is where people get confused because oars aren't easy. Oars require effort. Nobody looks at someone struggling in a rowboat just cranking their arms against the tide and think, wow, that looks really relaxing. Rowing is work. Your arms get tired, your shoulders get weak, you cuss a little or a lot. But the work creates movement. That's the difference. There are things that exhaust me and grow me, and there are things that exhaust me and keep me exactly where I am. The trick is to figure out which one is which before you find yourself swinging your arms with a rope around your waist, flailing to nowhere. The goal is not to remove effort from your life. The goal is to make sure your effort is taking you somewhere. And that's where this question keeps punching me in the face. Is this an anchor or is this an oar? Is this helping me move forward, or is it just something I have been carrying for so long I've stopped noticing the weight? Because sometimes the hardest part isn't even identifying the anchor. Sometimes the hardest part is admitting you don't want to carry it anymore. But because I like to throw a wrench in things, not everything is an anchor or an oar. Some things are fuel. Reading a good book, listening to your favorite music, sitting on a back deck at a cabin in the woods. Just me? Okay, fair enough. But spending time with the people you love, laughing until your stomach hurts, simply resting. You know, the things that refuel the rower. Because if all you ever do is row, eventually you're going to get too tired to do anything at all. You cannot row a boat forever if you do not fuel the human doing the rowing. And I think that we forget that a lot of the time. I harp and I harp and I harp about balancing your energy with the things that need to get done. And in this analogy, it's no different. We have become so obsessed with productivity that we have started acting like refueling is being lazy. But fuel is what makes the journey possible. And just in case I haven't confused things enough for you, I gotta admit that some things can be anchors and oars at the same time. A job can be both. A hobby can be both. A relationship can be both. The question is not whether something is good or bad. The question is whether the movement it creates is greater than the drag. Because I don't think the goal can be to live life without any anchors. I don't think that's possible. I think the goal here is awareness. To stop drifting through life carrying things just because we've always carried them. For me, this all started when I found myself completely inert on the couch, as most of my stories do. I was laying there wondering if maybe running was really for me, because I had to find time. I had to find a bra. I had to get off my ass and get out the door. But running for me is an oar, and inertia is my biggest anchor, literally keeping me stuck in place. It does not serve me to lay around with my hand in a bag of chili cheese Fritos, no matter how nice it feels at the time. And it feels real nice. But moving my body, feeling the sun on my skin, taking literal step after step after step towards my dream of ultramarathon running, that is my oar, and it is my fuel. And when I did finally get off the couch and get out the door and do my run, I was super glad I did for the first 2 miles. It was wonderful. And then at 2.01, my lungs started burning and my heart rate started shooting up. And in that moment, I found another anchor, smoking cigarettes. Not really a shock. I mean, I think that's a pretty clear, obvious anchor, really. But I've done it for a very long time, and it is a very difficult addiction and habit to break. But it is literally dragging me down. It is keeping me from chasing the things that I want. It is expensive. It is dangerous. It is an anchor that is not serving me. Honestly, at that moment, I started thinking about getting a little anchor tattoo right here on my hand. So I have to see it every single time I reach for a cigarette. Every time I reach for my lighter, because I'm right-hand dominant. Every time I reach for my wallet. Every time I reach for my Monster. Also an anchor that is not serving me and is on the list of things I need to let go of. And I mean, I want a lot of tattoos. Not a secret if you've been around at all. And if, by the way, speaking of being around, if you're still around, would you mind doing me a solid, hitting the thumbs up button? And if you're not subscribed, can you do that for me? The point is, I think a visual reminder right there on my hand that I see every time I reach for something that is not serving me could be an oar that serves me. And maybe seeing it there would be enough to stop me from reaching for the things that are keeping me stuck. I don't know. We'll have to see. Let me know in the comments if you think that would be a good idea. Anyway, this week, I challenge you to look around and find one anchor, one oar, and one thing that fuels you. Just start there. You don't have to reinvent your life. You don't need a 12-step plan, and you don't need a new planner cover. Let me just throw that out there for all my planner peeps. Because all you need is awareness. Because I think that once you start asking yourself this question, is this an anchor or is this an oar? You're going to start seeing the answers everywhere. And honestly, some of them might surprise you. I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Please don't forget to smash all those YouTube buttons for me and leave me a comment below and let me know what you think about the tattoo. Let me know if this concept resonates with you because it has seriously just been looping in my head. Every time I go to do anything, I think, is this an anchor or is this an oar? Is what I'm doing serving what I say I want, or is it just holding me stuck where I am? And it was a wild weekend. It was. I realized a lot of things about myself, and I think that if you take the time to do this exercise, I think it's going to help you too. I love you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.